Good afternoon. My name is Whitney Carter, and I am applying for the Teach for America Rural School Leadership Academy. And this is my video interview questions video. Your first question refers to a conflict with a coworker and how I approached it and what was the overall outcome. This summer, I was mentoring one of my coworkers, and in mentoring that coworker, I don't know if he was just like having a bad day or bad week or bad month, but he wasn't in agreement with procedures that were supposed to be followed, especially when it came to consequences for not submitting something on time. He felt like, we were treating them like babies. And so this particular time, one of the consequences for not submitting something on time was that it's something like a study hall. You had to go to a study hall. And during this study hall, your mentor or the mentor on duty had to work with you on building up practices and helping you to get ahead so that you wouldn't get behind and have to come to study hall again. But from the start of City Hall, this coworker was not very cooperative. But I chose to still help him. I asked him questions. I made sure he felt included because it was not only just him in that study session, but there were multiple coworkers who I was either helping their mentor or I was just taking it upon myself to give them help. So everyone in that session I was helping. I was very inclusive. I was very adamant about helping this coworker get ahead, and they just weren't feeling it. And so you only had to spend an hour there. And so during this hour, he treated me cruel. But I decided to just continue to smile and continue to help him. But he treated me cruel. When his hour was up, during this session, he cursed at me. He did several things that made me a little bit uneasy, but I knew in my leadership role, that I still had to be a leader. I still had to be an example, and people were looking. And so once his hour was up, he was briskly leaving. He was just like, I'm so over this, my hour's up. And I was going to help someone, and so we ended up bumping, and so he was just in a very bad mood. And so he escalated to think that I intentionally did it. And so he threw a few words at me, and I just told him to have a good night. Did it bother me? Yes. When I got into my room, I just was like, how am I going to go past this night, with him? I still had to be a leader. I still had to help him when he needed help. And so I chose to continue my duties as a mentor, as someone who was still going to help him. I went to upper leadership, those who were above me, and I sought out ways how I could do this to still be effective. I didn't want to just have my position. I really wanted to be effective in that position. And so I took their recommendations. I waited a day, maybe two, to actually go to him and ask him, could we meet separately and we discuss everything, which actually ended up being an awesome conversation. He had kind of took some things the wrong way, and because I was part of a certain group, he just placed me in that group of people that he was just going to be rude to that day. And so Because I had to work closely with him that day, it just ended up that I got the bulk of it. And so we discussed it. We actually sat down. We actually talked about it. He apologized. I apologized because I didn't, if I did anything, even, making him feel like, oh, because she's a part of that group, I have to treat her this way. I apologize because I didn't want any of my actions to be taken as though they were against him or anything. But we ended up talking and hashing everything out, and we completed our assignment together on a high note. And that was the overall result of that. And I chose, I'm a very understanding person. I like to hear outsides. I like to, even if they're against me, I will hear you out. Even if you're really at that moment saying, I'm not going to hear you out, but I will hear you out. I am a person who handles conflict well. And in response to the second question about the document, and it says, what does this document make you think about, make you wonder? How do these ideas align or misalign with the experience in education, your experience in education so far? My experience in education, there's a lack of diversity, there's a lack of inclusiveness, and there is a lack of equity. I personally push toward those. That is my mission. I am so for equity. I don't believe that every child should be educated equally, because studies prove that every child isn't equal when it comes to education, especially those with learning disabilities. I don't think that they should be taught as though they are AP students. Now, don't believe that they should be taught like they're not students who can progress or who could potentially become on the same level as an AP student. I just believe that diversity in education and the way we educate our students is lacking in every state, especially in Arkansas, because I'm an Arkansan, and I push for equity. That is why I am a part of Arkansas Teachers Corp. And that is why I'm willing to be a part of Teach for America. I feel like your missions coincide with each other. And so I do believe that is missing in education. Now, it makes me wonder, what can I do? How can I push harder for diversity, equity, and inclusion to be up in my district? I'm in a rural district, and I see the lack of every day, but I push in my classroom to include those students who people quote unquote say aren't on the level. I push for those students who are in secret. I'm doing air quotes because that's how it's referred to in the district. Those students who are secretly, trying to identify who they are. I include them. I make a safe space in my room when the bullies are present and those topics come up. I make it safe for them to have their voice, even if they're in secret, as the other teachers say. Inclusiveness, even like I said, on all levels. I challenge my 504 students just like I challenge my AP students. I'm going to challenge your thoughts. I'm going to challenge you to go outside of just like that level one thinking. I'm going to challenge you, even if you're in a room of my 12 AP students. I'm going to challenge you to think just like they think. I just feel like it's a mindset that has been embedded in them, and here I am trying to take that mindset away. I love the mission and the vision of this Rural School Leadership Academy, and I really hope that I can become part of that team of promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion amongst our students.